Welcome to the Rotten Reviews podcast, where we review and rate movies that deserve a Spielberg mark or bomb its way to Bay. The podcast will be presented by yours truly, Aryan.
Woo! Let's go!
Hello and welcome everybody to the Rotten Reviews podcast, and here joining us we have
Jex, and that's me. I'm a film analysis expert and happen to be a friend of these guys.
What's up? I'm Turkey and I co-host this show alongside Aryan.
Hi guys, I'm Ali and I'm just here.
Before getting into this, I would like to introduce the one and only three-time Oscar-nominated actor who played in The Gladiators as Commodus, and the famous singer Johnny Cash in Walking the Line. But let's not forget the iconic DC villain he's playing this year. Let's give it up for Joaquin Phoenix.
Woo! Let's go!
Hello guys, that's me. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to the show.
Before we get into the podcast, who watched Joker?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, of
we
course.
did.
Yeah,
We did.
same here. Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, so I might have not watched it.
What are you doing?
Wait,
Oh
actually?
my god.
No way.
Are you joking, Ali? Get it? Because it's Joker. Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, and after this podcast, you should go buy a ticket.
Yeah, definitely. It's a must watch.
Well, I guess I have something on my watch list now.
Alright, well, let's continue with the show, I guess.
Alrighty, so just a heads up, if you haven't watched Joker then, you should probably click off now. Major spoilers.
So before you guys listen to the podcast, get some tickets, buy your popcorn, buy your soda. It's really good. And make sure just to relax and enjoy the podcast. We'll be back in a moment.
Before we get into this, we would like to break down the segment and have an analysis on Joker.
Alright folks, so let's start with what did y'all think of the movie?
Well, I actually think it was amazing.
Yeah? You thought it was good?
Yeah, I think it was good as well.
Yeah, to be honest,
I didn't really expect
it was the highlight of 2019, to be honest.
I didn't watch it.
Personally, I've always had a fascination with cinematography, especially in big blockbusters. And in the theater, I was thrilled and amazed with all the different camera compositions, movements, angles, and great lighting. They all just fit in perfectly and really put out a great experience. I truly believe that over 70% of the movie's success comes from the great effort of filming it with the best camera equipment, great lighting, and overall better resolution than most Hollywood's biggest hits.
No way, 70%.
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
my god, that's pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, that's it.
Alright. This might upset some of the listeners, but in terms of the storyline and what's going on in the movie, wasn't really that good because
No, man. It's really good. You have to trust me, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
really
think
good.
It's amazing.
Okay, because I expected more action, thriller, maybe a bit more comedy, rather than a story of the Joker's life, of how he went from working at his local clown business, attending birthday parties and children's hospitals, to becoming a supervillain and leading the rise of the clowns through Gotham City with a poor ending that I just didn't get, so...
Yeah, man, you really don't know what you're talking about.
Well, there goes your $20, man.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Joker was a great film. It just didn't meet my expectation of a thriller movie, since I didn't witness many dark humor or scenes being captured that represents violence with dark filters to create that spooky atmosphere effect to make the audience feel that they're in that scene as well. And another thing to point out is the amount of times sympathy and empathy of a scene kept on switching back and forth, which isn't very original in Hollywood standards if you ask me. What I didn't really aspire to the fact of how the atmosphere just changes numerously, which makes an audience member like me to be really confused and many times during the whole film, which then gets me off track with the whole story. And it could be just me, right? I mean, we all have our own opinions in the end.
Yeah, true.
No wonder news medias are against it.
But honestly, what really got my attention that everyone can agree with, so was the spread of the protest of the clowns as soon as those two police officers were chasing Joker through the train. You guys remember that?
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, pretty hectic.
That was just pure acting skill, and such an experience to watch, and really fits in well with the whole movie and just flows in perfectly, so perfectly. And that deserves some sort of Oscar awards for the best clip scene out of a blockbuster or something. First of all, it's the location, which took place in a very urbanized place with heavy traffic surrounded by dark colors, and Joker creates that great focal point from his bright colored clothing that grabs the audience's attention in a cinematic perspective.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty
Okay,
dope.
wow.
Nice
That's
analysis,
actually
my
really
guy.
nice.
Okay, well, that's a wrap from Turkey, and now on to you, Aryan.
I'll start off by saying I think the movie was great. One of the best this year.
Wow, finally. A good
Finally.
opinion. Thank you, Aryan. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I even think it's better than Avengers Endgame. Why I say this is because sure, it was one of the most ambitious crossovers. There was no real meaning or morale behind the movie, which has a definite impact on society. As well as DC movies over the years has really transformed society towards a darker theme with many movies, like Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Suicide Squad. However, I feel like they didn't portray or give justice to the characters on screen, which by big parts was the fault of Zack Snyder, the director to most of these movies, as I don't think he understood most of the characters. However, Joker was not directed by him, it was directed by none other than Todd Phillips. As a director who directed comedic films, I believe that he really dug into the character of Joker, which is the maniacal, insane, and deluded person, but given his own twist. What's really intriguing in the movie is the fact that they give the character a past. Because throughout DC comics and the Dark Knight films, Suicide Squad, and the old Batman films, Joker was a character with no past. However, with this movie, Todd Phillips gave a twist to the character. His backstory was largely about how society drove a mental man towards darkness and crime. He showed how and why he became the Joker and what led to it. One of my favorite scenes in the movie was when the Joker was dancing on the stairs slowly before coming to the Murray show. This scene showed that he did not care about society and he was a free bird. He dances throughout the movie when something went wrong. When he feels like he's being manipulated, for example, when he found how his mom was lying about Thomas Wayne being his biological father, etc. This stairs scene really signified that now he's free from the strings of society and manipulations. However, he's now manipulating people to do his biddings.
Yeah, that was pretty good analysis, Aryan. That was really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Pretty dope.
I guess it's my turn, right? Well,
Tell me what you did as an actor.
Well, I have to agree with you, Aryan. The movie Joker really takes a bite into modern society that we are living right now. The message behind the movie is so meaningful and impactful about the rich not giving care about the poor. The transition of Arthur Fleck from being a submissive character that accepts his fate and wears masks to hide his true feelings for the toxic society, to a character or a Joker that challenges those who oppose his already broken and mental state that he has to carry throughout his childhood and adulthood. The character of Joker is so well done that I think in the third act of the movie, when the Joker goes to the Murray show and where he says, "My life is nothing but a comedy," I think that it really shows how he's fed up with society and how that he put himself in where people in the society where they pick and choose what they like or not like, which then he continues on saying, "Comedy is subjective, Murray. You decide what's funny or not." And by saying this line, what I mean by this line is that he's tired of killing those 3 Wall Street guys, and like he doesn't feel remorse in saying it. Remorse is saying that he just doesn't care about killing those Wall Street guys. And then from the next few lines, you can really tell that the scene picks up the pace as the tension builds up between my character Arthur and Robert De Niro's character Murray. Tension builds up as my character Arthur keeps on do a raging rant, and Murray like doing a trial and error to extinguish the rage that Arthur has. So Murray tries to calm him down with a question of inquiry to Joker on what started him to be like this. So Robert De Niro says that, "Oh, okay, well, I understand. Did this start a movement?" To which my character Joker, not Arthur Fleck right now, replies with telling Murray that he wouldn't be the type of clown to start a movement after So after having said that, yeah. So after having said that, then Joker then tells Murray how the Wall Street guys are awful, that everyone in society is awful, and it's enough to make everyone go crazy.
You see?
Yeah, and like the meaning behind it, that scene is so political, and like it really struck a chord in me when I watched it for the final product. Like, and for that line, what's it called? Nobody's civil anymore. It's very nice line. Like, I'd say that Todd Phillips' script and Scott Silver's script, like, they really took it to the next level. So yeah, I think that during the shooting, I think it really meant a lot for me to act, because like I really speak for the people, you know. So
Yeah,
I guess
I can see that. Now I just wanted to partake my part for this, for the movie in general, but more specifically about Joker himself. Now, I'm sure that we all loved it when we watched it, and Ali, now that you'll be learning about it, I'm sure you'll be able to enjoy it more. Firstly, I just wanted to talk about how this movie can really hook you towards watching it. As a person who was devastated throughout his life, you can really see the progression on him and how he's affected by it. As Aryan said, the Joker reveals a past in which it makes it more intriguing to your audience. By adding in something that other DC films didn't provide. Although the movie is solely made about the Joker, we can still identify many ways of his past and how it really entices us to see how he has become, himself as he is now. So I wanted to actually clarify that I did feel a little bit odd with this Joker showing an origin, as in other DC films there wasn't an origin of Joker and he was mainly a villain. But it then leads to an overall persona of Joker being more terrific because of how the movie portrays him. Throughout the portrayal of the Joker, we can see many sorts of sympathy from his past, which can lead towards the sentimentality of an insane person, which is obviously bad. But then, however, Joaquin Phoenix, he really treads this line carefully, as you can see how his character has progressed into someone you'd be extremely terrified of, being a maniac. And this is what I think makes it amazing, from how the audience can feel towards him and then later, have different opinions, while still feeling mesmerized by his performance. Okay, you know what? That's enough talking for me. I'm gonna let it slide to the interview between Aryan and the man himself, Joaquin Phoenix.
As a disclaimer, I wanted to mention that Joker deals with heavy subjects, and if you're easily disturbed, then you might not want to hear some of these things that we're talking about. One more thing I wanted to say was that I'm very honored to interview Joaquin.
Thank you very much. I'm honored as well.
Now, you said in the past that you would do a comic book movie if the right role comes up. What does this role mean to you?
I think it is a really complex character in the way that other movies I have acted. I thought it was going to be challenging for me as an actor, and I thought it was going to be challenging for the audience as well. And that's exciting, Maybe I always look for characters that aren't easy to act and define.
As you know, yesterday we watched the movie, and personally, I kind of forgot, but that I was in Gotham. There was a couple of subtle things that made me remember. Oh yeah, this took place in the DC universe, but it really kind of breaks your mind.
Well, yeah, for example, when I read Todd Phillips's and Scott Silver's script, I really thought they really blended and took their own unique version of this world, while still maintaining some of the DC and kind of Gotham, Batman, Joker mythos, and I thought that was really unique and well made.
I'm not about to say a cliche question when people talk about physical transformations of the Joker, because it was so apparent while watching it. Was your decision to lose a ton of weight, or did you and Todd collaborate to do it?
Yeah, it was completely my decision to lose a ton of weight, but before I made the final decision, I searched the side effects of taking the medication, and one of the things that everybody was talking about in these forums was how they lost a lot of weight and how they gained a lot of weight. So I told Todd that let's go with the weight gain because it's easier for me as an actor, but Todd's like, no, you have to go with the weight loss. And so it was something that I have done before in previous movies, and I swore I would never do it again, but I think it seemed really important for the character to be like that, which ended up affecting me in many ways that I hadn't anticipated, and it certainly affects you emotionally and mentally, and I really did not expect that at all.
Wow. In the bathroom scene, when you dance to Hildur Guðnadóttir composition Call Me Joker,
Fun fact, I actually improvised that scene.
no way.
Yep.
This is so wild. Like, when I was watching the scene, I expected your character Arthur to be in shock, or at least regretted what he did for killing the Wall Street guys.
Yeah, before shooting the bathroom scene, I read the script, and me and Todd agreed that during the shooting of the scene that I should do something else other than Arthur feeling this guilt of killing these three Wall Street. So on the day of the shoot, me and Todd just stood around in the set, and we felt that it wasn't what Arthur would feel and act like. Why would Arthur care to hide his gun and wash his makeup? So the whole crew, everyone in the set tossed around some ideas on how to do the scene, and eventually Todd told me that Hildur Guðnadóttir, our composer, sent some of her work throughout the shooting of the movie. So when Todd played the piece, I felt I should do a slow yet disturbing dance to make the audience feel a very nightmarish, suspenseful, and terrifying mood that goes along with the scene.
Last question.
Yep.
What do you think about the last scene where Arthur Fleck is in an asylum room with a psychiatrist like he was in the first act of the movie? And could you tell us what the last scene meant?
Well, to be honest, I won't really say anything about that last scene.
What? Come on, man.
I'll leave it to Todd Phillips himself, because he is the one who does this sort of stuff. He does the theories, he does the director stuff. He tells a story while I just act.
Ali and Jex will now give an analysis based on what all of us said about the movie. So the mic's on you guys.
So while they were talking to you and stuff, I looked at several videos or clips about the movie, and I conveniently finished at the same time you guys needed me. Anyways, jokes aside, from what I could find, this movie's based on three stages. Firstly, the character introduction, and the slow increase of rising action with the girlfriend and things like that.
Yeah, so that's actually really interesting, as the overall structure of the Joker was in development since 2017 when Todd Phillips started to write it.
Yeah, true. So the second stage is like a half climax and half rising action, because in the movie you have the three murders and you have Joker's life getting better with the days and with him finally going to the comedy show and becoming a comedian. But then you have things like finding out he's adopted, and you have other important sections like that, making it seem more like a climax than a rising action.
Yeah, and this can overall illustrate how the directors made this movie special. As in the movies, in usual movies, the audience knows when the climax has been reached. However, in this movie in particular, it is known as it ends with a riot and action. This can also make the movie more unique than others.
So the climax of the movie is reached very obviously between the 2 points of the riot and the bathroom dancing scene. As in the dancing scene, you have the character Arthur Fleck finally going insane, but you also have at the ending the riot where Arthur Fleck gets known between everyone and finally gets popular, and there's a lot of action. So somewhat debated if like the climax was reached in the middle of the movie where it's actually supposed to be, where the character goes insane, or at the end of the movie where it's or at the end of the movie where the character finally gets known and things like that. But when I said it like that, honestly, it seemed more like a flying action or an ending, because he finally gets known and that. So the ending is actually a mix between the climax and the following action and the ending altogether. It's really like an interesting thing to do in the director's perspective.
Yeah, so actually it shows to be really interesting because in usual movies they end, with a happy and calm ending, but the writers chose to end it with a riot in this movie, which actually caused many fans and watchers to interpret that the story is not done, which most certainly doesn't happen in other movies. And actually, furthermore, when comparing it to other DC movies such as Batman, there are some things that would, throw you off because how in this movie they display Joker in a different way, as such as Joker isn't as grim in the others.
Alright, so another point I wanted to talk about was the murders and how the script was written, or how the writers interpreted it as quirky instead of serious, because you see Joker killing those three guys after they harass him. However, after that, there's just a small period of time where it actually affects him. However, it doesn't seem too major, which is really weird, as murders are obviously really big, and they would have been treated with more care. However, in this movie, they're treated as if he's actually already gone insane.
Well, thank you for the great analysis, but we're wrapping up soon. But do you guys have any last thoughts?
Well, I wanted to comment on the theory and say that it would actually make a lot of sense from a director's perspective, as it complements the Joker character and how spontaneous he is when you're looking at his backstory. But what do you think of this, Chakwan?
I think it's very interesting, but of course, I can't say anything or else they'll fire me.
Yeah, it's okay. I understand. So before we finish, what would y'all rate the movie? Personally, for me, I'd give it a solid 7.
I give it a 10. Yes.
I give it a 10.
So I think overall I'd give it a 9 out of 10, because there was some pointless scenes, like the part where he goes into the fridge. Like it seems kind of pointless there.
Yeah, there's no context to the scene and it doesn't really add on to the story or action.
Alright, thanks for your honesty.
Alright, so special thanks to everyone here, and most importantly to Chakwan, as this podcast wouldn't have been the same without you.
You're welcome. I really had fun doing this interview with you, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And thank you folks at home for tuning in tonight, and don't forget to stay rotten.